Good morning, this is Austin from Mevotech, and I'm here with Barry this morning to test out the new Jeep 2022 Rubicon 4xe and talk about some of the products Mevotech makes for Jeep. So today we're in the 2022 4xe Jeep.
Yeah.
And this one is the Rubicon package. This is the Jeep's first hybrid model. So it combines an electric motor, actually two electric motors, with the inline-4 turbo gas engine to make about 470 foot-pounds of torque. In the 200s, high 200s horsepower, I believe. So,
when it comes down to the Jeep, history of the Jeep, you know, the Americans put out when World War II was coming down, they put out a couple, regulations to say, hey, couple bids, we need something to use in the European theater of operation, and the Jeep Willys, that's where it first made its appearance in 43, 44, and it was a hit. It was easy to work on. Everything was manual transmission, and once that finished up in 1945, they made the civilian Jeep, the CJ, like I said, and again, they haven't stopped. I mean, the Jeep culture they have is pretty sick.
Yeah, everybody modifies them.
Oh yeah, I don't think I've ever seen somebody buy a Jeep and leave it stock.
It seems like there's unlimited accessories for these things.
Yeah, tons of do-it-yourselfers too, right? Like,
yeah,
it's one of those vehicles that still has, as a tech, you actually have room to do stuff with.
There's plenty of room on the undercar.
Yeah. Now, I haven't driven this thing yet, but can you feel the power right off the line of
yeah. I mean, it definitely feels like torquey off the line because the electric motor helps. The electric motor is actually inside the transmission, and so if you were to put it in four-wheel or rear wheel or anything like that, it's going to power it just the same as the gas engine. So
wow. And that, that's extra torque on the front end. I mean, whew.
Yeah, it's a little bit better than the typical Jeep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the typical Jeep has a torque converter, has a V6, it's a little bit sloshy, the transmission's a little bit slower.
Yeah.
This almost feels like you're driving a manual because it instantly engages.
Wow.
Compared to like a typical automatic, which is a little bit softer.
Right. No, it's an impressive vehicle. I mean, again, right out the gate, this Jeep we're driving does not have the OE tires on it. It's got big, thick, meaty tires, causing more strain on the whole system, especially with that takeoff.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anytime we're talking about bigger tires, we're talking about more rotating weight.
Yeah.
And it obviously it's good to have a little bit bigger tires in some circumstances, depending on where you live and stuff like that. But the suspension has to take the hit for that. So. Yeah.
And again, they're adding weight on one component with the batteries. They're lightweighting on a lot of other things.
It's true. Yeah.
Like this thing has the OE ball joint has a plastic bearing inside that the joint actually rests on. That's plastic. You're putting the weight of your tires on plastic, especially with the stabilizer links. Those joints are it's a metal stud, metal ball, but it's a plastic bearing inside there.
Yeah, and some of them even have an aluminum knuckle now. So they're starting to make some of the components aluminum as well, the same way.
Like, and that's got to shift compared to cast. You being a mechanic, I'm not a mechanic, but that aluminum knuckle, like, that'll twist.
Yeah, it's definitely, if you were to install a ball joint in it 3 times, you'd think about the 4th time if it's going to be the same size, because it's often easier to, you can say, deform it or whatever you want to say. But I mean, they're pretty strong. It's just 5 or 10 pounds. It really matters when you're throwing a huge battery pack.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and lightweighting is a big plan for the OEs, right? They're trying to battle the CAFE regulations.
Absolutely.
But fortunately for Mevotech, we're allowed to put the meat back in the sandwich.